And welcome back to another Big Nick Energy podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, and Podbean. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, join our Facebook group, and join our Chalkboard. It's a message board app designed specifically around gambling and sports. We're almost to 100 people, which means we're doing a Nick ticket giveaway. We need 20 more people to sign up. I have a very special guest today. He's a writer for Hoops Hype. He's actually the NBA salary cap expert for them, as well as for USA Today's Sports Wire Media Group. Yossi Golzan, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, just hanging in there. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Like we were talking about just before, I am very jealous of your weather. I live in Connecticut, and it's probably 30 to 40 degrees less here than it is there.
Yeah, not too bad here. Been raining a little bit, but now it's starting to get a little warmer again.
I'm so jealous. You can go surfing in the wintertime if you wanted to.
True, yeah.
Just to let everyone know, we're recording immediately after the Knicks 102-98 come from behind win in Orlando. We're not going to actually talk about the game too much. It's the NBA trade deadline, so that's why I have Yossi on to give some of his input and hopefully some maybe even breaking news. Who knows what happens in the next 30 to 40 minutes. The Knicks were led by Brunson's 25 points. Randall finished with a 22-14 double-double. And RJ and IQ both turned up in the second half after hard first half shooting with 15 and 18 points respectively. But Yossi, to get into the trade deadline, one thing I wanted to, if you answer, tell them I say hi.
I just had to mute it. Sorry about that.
Okay. One thing I did want to ask you for both myself and for any listeners that aren't too sure, because obviously the NBA salary cap and the way it works as a whole is it's interesting. There's intricacies that a lot of people don't understand, a lot of casual fans, even people that follow the sport, they don't know it too well. So one thing unrelated to the Knicks, the Miami Heat today traded Dwayne Dedmon and a second-round pick to the Spurs, and they in essence received nothing from the Spurs. Is that correct?
Yeah, they just needed more flexibility because they were right up against the tax, and that's all it really was. I wouldn't have. They've been so confident they keep hitting on all these undrafted guys that they're just like giving away second round picks pretty willy nilly. So, any other organization, I wouldn't have liked that. But for the Heat, they don't need a second round pick. They fine.
If you could find Duncan Robinson or Gabe Vincent every 3 years somehow.
Yeah. But now Miami's got a little more wiggle room to do a couple things. Like they just added a 10-day guy. Maybe they'll convert Orlando Robinson, and now they could do like a little more of an uneven trade if they want to pick up more salary in the trade. So they have a little more flexibility for that.
So I wanted to ask that because his salary was for $4.7 million. So like you were saying, they got $4.7 million farther away from the luxury tax. So they get a $4.7 million trade exemption. Can you explain what the trade exemption credit exactly is?
All it is that they now for 1 year can acquire a player in a trade up, within that amount. They could also use it to claim a player that gets waived within that amount as well. So, yeah, just like in a way, there's always these exceptions because usually when you do a trade, you want to get something back, but they didn't really get anything back. So it's like an incomplete trade. Now they have a year to complete it, if that makes sense.
It's
as
like
in get the money back if they want.
Gotcha. It's almost like the baseball version of a player to be named later, or in that sense, money to be used later.
Right.
I like that. And then to work, obviously this is a Knicks podcast, so to work the Knicks angle into it. I know it's already been reported today that OG Anunoby is most likely not on the table for New York anymore. He's still on the table for a couple other teams. So I wrote this beforehand, but I still want to ask you, even semi half-heartedly, if your favorite team, because both these guys GM wise affect where the Knicks would have been at if they were still in the OG market. If you were the fan of your favorite team and you found out your team was dealing with either Masai Ujiri or Danny Ainge, who would you be more worried to deal with and why?
I guess just Danny Ainge, because he's done 3 trades now where he completely took everything from an organization, from Brooklyn, from Utah, from Cleveland. The thing is with Masai, we still haven't really ever seen him do. I don't think we've ever seen him do like a full teardown. I remember when he first took over for Toronto, he he traded some important guys like Bargnani, for a couple other guys, but then he still kept DeRozan and Lowry. Everyone thought that they were gonna start tanking, and they were immediately really good.
Right.
And then I guess the only other sell-off he ever did was when he was with the Nuggets, and he traded Carmelo and did pretty well given all the circumstances. So I guess for the Knicks, you don't want to deal with Masai. Some like the Melo and Bargnani trades were not great for them.
Yes. No.
But but we'll see what he ends up doing, because I'm sure Masai is looking for that similar type Ainge, take every pick you've got package, because that's the market right now for stars after Ainge said it. So, but we'll see. We'll see what if he ends up trading any of the guys.
Is Van Vliet the most likely now? It seems like from their team to be traded.
I mean, I don't personally know, but I guess if I had to guess in order, it feels like Trent, just because he's easy to move. Only reason he wouldn't get moved is if they just don't get what they want for him. After that, then I would say Fred, then OG, then Siakam last.
Gotcha. I think I would feel like they would want to hang on to Siakam. He's their closest thing to an all-star every year. So I know even with a teardown, it helps to have a guy like that. To go into the Danny Ainge aspect, because the more likely scenario of like the quote unquote larger deals the Knicks can do now, was reported by Michael Scotto, right? That you work with, the Jared Vanderbilt. So was Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley reportedly, if this does happen, going to the Knicks for Obi Toppin, Evan Fournier, and draft pick compensation, and it seemed like it would be a protected first.
I don't know I don't really know like the intimate details of that, just what Michael reported.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Just because you do follow the league a little bit more than a lot of people that focus on one team, obviously, can you try to explain a little bit just what makes Jared Vanderbilt like that much better or more useful of a piece than Obi Toppin per se, and then especially with like him being a more defensive minded guy with a Tom Thibodeau like coach?
So maybe you could tell me, because I'm kind of surprised when I heard that offer that
all of we. I just want to point that out there.
Like, assuming that offer is legit, that the Knicks are willing to trade Obi and a pick for a couple role players, if like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, has Obi been bad? Like, it seems like he's been pretty good to me. Like when I saw it.
No, he does well on his per 36. He does get beat on back cuts on defense, which obviously drives Thibodeau nuts. And the whole thing was that when they drafted him, they had just signed Randall, and Randall was signed as like this is a guy we have for a year or two before we move on while we rebuild. And then he surprisingly led them to the playoffs and with no fans out there. And then they signed Randall, and it's like, well, we still have the 8th overall pick that we can't actually do anything with because he's not a 3 in any scenario. Although his 3-point shooting is like almost, you would be able to fool yourself into it, but he wouldn't be able to stay in front of a 3 at all. Randall and him can't play the 5 in a Tom Thibodeau system because neither one of them is a real rim protector, and neither one of them is actually great at boxing out. That's what they rely on Mitch, Hartenstein, and Sims for in various ways. That's why the power forward gets so many rebounds in the system, in the center outside of Mitch, doesn't as much. It's like they're boxing out more so.
So just because they
can't play together.
Because they're married to Randall, and Randall needs the ball a lot, needs a lot of minutes, and you can only give him Toppin so many if Randall is the main guy.
The low grade days, it's like Randall on like his lowest minute projection, he plays like 34, which leaves 14. They literally almost always play separate from each other.
But still, from like a value proposition, I don't like that for the Knicks. Even if that first rounder is like one of those fake first rounders that the Knicks have, I still don't like the idea of. To me, that's selling low on Obi. Like,
agreed.
I like Malik Beasley, and then I guess Jared Vanderbilt, just like a guy who really just steadily improving all these years, and the main benefit for him is that he's only going to make $4 million next year. Yep. So super cheap and borderline starter caliber guy. I just don't. I don't think either of those players' values are like, personally, if I was a GM, I wouldn't pay a first round pick for either of them.
I agree, and the idea is that they would be having to pay the pick to get rid of Fournier's,
and it's just like Danny Ainge, in the end, Danny Ainge just trying to extract as much value as possible.
Always.
So I get it.
Always. And again, that's why I brought up the Masai Ujiri versus Danny Ainge thing. I think almost every other fan base would definitely say Danny Ainge, no ifs, ands, or buts. And then just Ujiri was involved in the Melo and Bargnani trade. So it hurts to our core. And then you brought up Malik Beasley. So that was actually the other aspect because Jared Vanderbilt's defense is better than Obi Toppin, obviously, and so is his rebounding. But it always seems like, at least from the limited minutes that Obi gets, and then Jared never really being a focal point anyway, it seems like Obi Toppin's offense is still better than Jared Vanderbilt's offense. So they almost seem like a wash. But Malik Beasley is, in fact, better than Evan Fournier. So I don't actually get to watch Malik Beasley too much. I know he can be a heat check kind of guy when he's really going. So can you just share a little bit about his game?
Malik Beasley?
Yeah.
Well, he's he's like leading the league among bench players in 3-point like made per attempts, like for a certain amount of attempts. So he's making them. No, he's definitely like,
and they're not all catch and shoot, right? They're sometimes off the dribble quite a bit.
Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely gonna he would definitely 100% have a spot in the Knicks rotation. Like he's a really good player. I'm just talking about the value proposition. I'm just not a fan of what the Knicks would be giving up to get either of those guys.
I agree.
I do like now. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt at the same time definitely profiles as a tips guy. So if they can get him to be the backup center, then now you can do something with Hardenstein. I know it seems like a kind of a mixed season. Like early on, wasn't really fitting in. Now he seems to be playing a little better, but at the same time, Tibbs wants the rebounding, rim protecting, shot blocking. Like
he doesn't really care if his center is actually distributing the ball at all.
Yeah, the skills. Not valued here.
No, definitely not. Although it would have been nice to actually use them. It's surprising to me that Leon Rose and Thibodeau seem like they are so married to each other, because it's like a lot of the moves that Leon Rose has made in his tenure so far, which brings up the next guy I'm about to bring up to you, Cam Reddish. Just doesn't seem like Tibbs actually wants to use these quote unquote assets in any real particular way. And so it was reported on the putback with Ian Begley that Cam Reddish is supposedly still being dealt for a second round pick. And the two teams most recently asking about him are two very opposite ends of the standings and what they're looking for spectrum, one being the Denver Nuggets and the other one being the Detroit Pistons. Have you heard anything about that, or do you know how Reddish would be able to fit in for, I would say, Denver more so than Detroit, obviously?
Detroit, I just kind of look at what is the logical trade package, and I mean, I have to look at Detroit. I guess if they're who can they be getting back if it's
him and Bay's contracts almost match up.
Who's
him and Sadiq Bey? Their contracts almost match
okay.
up.
Yeah, so I mean, they'd probably have to give up like a real first to get Bay. I could see. I think Bojan would be. The Knicks could definitely get Bojan if they wanted him to. If they want to do something like Rose and Reddish in a real first.
Yeah.
To match. Denver. I mean, Denver. The thing is they're looking to trade Bones, and I don't
Bones
think
and IQ played together growing up.
Okay, but I don't know. At the same time, though, I don't think Bones is like a good match for this team. Like you already got so many other good guards.
Yeah.
I don't really see him. Like maybe he could, but like I feel like he wouldn't really crack the rotation in New York. If they still have all these guards. So I mean, a package based on Bones for Reddish. Maybe there's something the Knicks can throw in to make it a little fair, and then Reddish can be that low risk flyer 3-and-D wing in case that they can have him pan out, be Bruce Brown insurance in case he leaves. I don't know. It's really hard for me to the Bones coming up with a Bones destination has been pretty hard for me. The one I end up falling back on is maybe he goes to Charlotte for something based with like Jalen McDaniels or Mason Plumlee. I feel like that might be that's like the one logical destination I always come back to.
Denver needs a backup center very, very badly.
Yeah.
I can't even pronounce the guy's name that they have, but he's not the guy.
Yeah. But if Isaiah Hardenstein never does become available, just about every team who had him over the past few years, Cleveland, Denver, Clippers, they could all really use him right now. Maybe you guys could get something good for him.
That's so funny you say that. When players actually leave teams that they're good matches on, obviously you're going to a place to pay. You want to go for the highest contract, especially when you're a bench guy, a seventh, eighth guy off in the rotation kind of thing. Hartenstein is a great example of sometimes you almost wish you went to the team that was the better match for you, and then you might get more money later on in your career. Because I mean, depending on how long Thibodeau is in New York with Hartenstein being there, or how long Hartenstein just remains on the team in his role, it might actually end up costing him long term.
Yeah, that's true. I guess if I am Hardenstein, I'd want to go somewhere like if he could get back to the Clippers, I think that'd be a really good situation for him. I mean, the question is, what are you going to get back?
When you're signed from one team to another as a free agent, I know sometimes you can be traded back to the same team, and other times you cannot. Does he fall into the he could be traded by Thursday there, or have to wait till
he can be? Yes, he can be traded back because that rule generally applies when you trade a player. If you trade a player, then you can't really bring him back.
Like I know the Knicks cannot get Alec Burks back right now if they want.
Exactly. Yeah, the Knicks cannot get Burks or Noel back this season, even if they're cut. But
even if they're cut, you can't get the player back.
No, because they traded them. But if
that's crazy. I did not know that.
Yeah, but since the Clippers just they couldn't since he just left the Clippers,
let him walk.
Doesn't apply.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have you on. I'm like learning so much stuff right now. I love this. And then Yossi, I know you do overall salary cap work. Who's the team you cover the most?
Cover the most.
Like, is it Lakers or Clippers based,
the big name ones that the Lakers, the Knicks, the Nets, probably those three the most.
Once KD ends up leaving the Nets too, they're probably going to fall off that list.
Yeah. I mean, that we'll see. That might be something that gets revisited in the summer.
That it might. We put in our Twitter account a couple days ago. The producer that's not here, Vin, he actually made a Photoshop of KD in a Knicks uniform, and it got like one of the highest blasted things we've done in a week, obviously.
One of my best friends who's a Knicks fan, he's like the whole time, he's just defending the Knicks for not bringing in KD and Kyrie, and now he has his flowers now this week. He's like, I told you.
It's hard for me to watch any team really bring in Kyrie and have him be a trustworthy person. I actually think what the Mavericks doing is smart. Like, that didn't seem like they gave up too much for him, and you didn't re-sign him yet. Like, have him try to help you win a title and then make the call after that, because he's been unreliable everywhere.
I mean, you can when you take a step back, that's a fine offer for Dallas. I just don't think personally they were like well equipped to give up all that much to get him, because they already didn't have that much. Like, that roster is just dry other than Luka and Kyrie. I feel like they got to do something this week.
Yeah, it's really rough that Christian Wood is your second best player, and Christian Wood is probably like the 75th best player in the league.
Yeah. So they can trade one more first. I would imagine they're going to do something with it.
Yeah. I mean, once you make a move for Kyrie, you're announcing that you're all in, and you have 2 days to figure out something else.
Yeah.
If you were,
I'd be surprised if they don't do anything else.
I would be too. If you were to just reckless speculation, I'm not saying you obviously know anything above what you already have reported or written it down. If you were to say something crazy happens for the Knicks or any team in the East in particular, what's something that's been off the radar that you might see happening by Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern?
Let me see. What's crazy?
I know that's a very open-ended question, but I feel like all trade deadline reporting and speculation is speculation until it happens.
So. I mean, the craziest thing that could happen would be KD getting traded to the Suns or something like that. Like that, there was the whole report by Woj that the Suns are interested in trading for KD, but the Nets aren't there yet.
Which isn't even really a report. It's like, oh, all 29 other teams are kind of interested in KD.
Yeah. So I mean, that would be the craziest. Other than that, I guess a Siakam trade of some sort, because he might be the least likeliest Raptor to get moved, but I think that just because the price it would take to move him. Like if a team really like if a team
Are we
offers,
talking like 4 firsts, like 3 protected
Yeah.
and unprotected and a pick swap kind of thing at least?
Yeah, like if a team offers that, I think they'll trade him. I don't like I don't think that's much of a because if they're taking a step back, where does Siakam, obviously we don't know how big of a step back they're going to take, but if they're going to take a step back where they're going to get multiple picks, maybe they're going to focus on the draft a little bit. Okay, then maybe Siakam doesn't really fit in the next few years.
Right. And at the time of recording, they're actually out of the playoffs. They'd be the 11th seed as of today.
Yeah. So Siakam, like I could see the Suns going after him. Obviously, Michael Scotto was talking about how the Nets are interested in him. Who else can I see?
To work off the while you're figuring out the other crazy thing that could potentially reckless speculating happen. If you were to actually just say for all 4 Raptors, right? Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, like what is, just using draft picks as like the currency, what is the price for each guy? I know we just said Siakam's probably
I
4
would say
firsts,
I would imagine, again, like this isn't what I think their value is, but like I would imagine the Raptors view Pascal as like similar to what Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell went for.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm sure they're trying to get that kind of package. OG might be kind of like what the Dejounte Murray package was, but maybe like instead of that Hornets first, that might not convey like an additional like a better first.
Right.
Because when it was reported, I forgot who reported that the Knicks offered 3 firsts. My first thought, like, okay, like which first?
Yeah.
Because that could easily be like
nothing. If it's 2 unprotected and then the Dallas pick, then yeah, those are 3 first-round picks. If we're talking,
that would be pretty identical to the Dejounte Murray package then.
Yeah. But if we're talking the Detroit, the Charlotte, and the Washington, or the Detroit, Washington, and then the Milwaukee picks, those are whack.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's Gary Trent, like a first and a second?
Trent, I think, is just like 1 first, like a good first, a solid one, which maybe they want more, and then they end up hanging on to him if they don't get whatever it is they want.
Right.
And then Fred, I guess 2, and a good young player. I don't know.
Yeah. It's so hard. It's so hard to speculate, honestly.
I'm probably undervaluing them in their eyes.
Yeah, well, that's why it's so hard to make deals. Since you do so much reporting on this, is it as easy to see to the naked eye as it seems to all of us that Rudy Gobert really ruined the trade market for everyone else?
I wouldn't want to blame it on Rudy Gobert. This is Danny Ainge. He always does these. He's always going for these like mega hauls.
It always seems to reset the market for like 2 years.
Yeah, like I don't like he like really like he. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think any other executive is like really stripping a team down to its foundation like Ainge has done multiple times. Like really like taking everything.
It's just OKC, but it seems like they just actually have never built up.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, and then Presti did it. Yeah, that's true.
And maybe the Rockets now, I guess.
Like even the Pelicans, when they traded AD, they didn't take them they take almost everything,
right?
But they still like Lakers still have like plenty of picks to trade now. Yeah, I mean that's the trade market's really kind of been messed up since 2019 when the Clippers did the Paul George trade, the Anthony Davis trade. There's definitely some more. I mean, the James Harden one also, they kind of stripped the Nets nearly to the bottom.
And then the Drew Holiday trade too. I mean, they ended up winning a title, so it worked out. But at the time, it seemed like that was a severe overpay as well.
Just because with like I think that's a good price, but the Bucks were already down like 1 or 2 firsts.
Yeah.
So they just lost all of what they had available. So that kind of applies to why I don't like this trade for the Mavs, because they're already down a bunch of assets. They lost Jalen Brunson. Like if they kept, it's so crazy how they just kept Jalen Brunson. If they had taken care of this earlier, like wow, what a ripple effects this had.
I had Lauren Gunn on a couple of weeks ago, who does the Objective Basketball podcast, and she lives in Dallas and writes from the Mavs and stuff like that. And their level of disappointment as a fan base that Brunson is actually gone, and she probably went on like a 4-minute rant about not signing the 4 for $55 when they had the chance. It's hurt them a lot.
No, I mean if Luka were to ever leave them, that's honestly what like one of the big moves I'm always going to look at that started that chain effect.
More likely to happen in your head: Devin Booker leaving the Suns first, and or Luka Doncic leaving the Mavs first.
I would say Luka, because I mean,
wow.
Booker already signed that second big contract, so we know he's definitely committed there.
Yeah. Although, as we've seen, doesn't stop people from trading.
But we'll see. I got 3 years to find out.
And Yossi, I'm gonna ask you one last question, more about your market than my market. Thank you again for your time, much appreciated. I would honestly love, I could learn so much from you. I just need to go to bed to wake up in 6 hours.
Yeah.
The Lakers still have this Russell Westbrook contract and these 2 unprotected firsts that are worth something allegedly. Will Russell Westbrook and both firsts be on their team in the next 34 hours, I believe, from now?
I think if I had to bet, yeah, they probably don't make that move. Like it's just been so long. We've been thinking they were going to do it last trade deadline. Nothing happened. We thought maybe they'd do it this summer. Nothing happened. And it just feels like most, stick with the trend, most likely won't happen.
That's fair. It's always easier to bet on something not happening than it happening.
Yep.
Here, before I let you go, I'm just going to do one last refresh of Twitter. Let's see if Woj, Shams, or anything else writes New York Knicks anywhere. And it does not look like it, sir. So I'm free to let you go. Yossi, thank you so much. Plug absolutely anything and everything you want to. We can find you at HoopsHype, obviously.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Joey. Yeah, you could on HoopsHype. I'm publishing a bunch of stuff, reacting to things as it happens. There's nothing specific to plug. Just chances are, if you go on the website, whatever is up, good chances by me. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Yossi Golzan, YOSSIGOZLAN.
Awesome. And we will definitely find you there. Again, everyone listening, you can find me at Joey Landolfa on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and subscribe. That's how tired I am. Subscribe and comment on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, and Podbean. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Join our Facebook group. And again, join our chalkboard. We're currently at 83 members. Once we get to 103, that is 100 minus the 3 of us that do BKE, we'll be doing a Knicks ticket giveaway. And Yossi, thank you so much for your time, sir. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.